Ethan Carter stood alone near the edge of the docking bay on Alara 9. The shuttle engines hissed in the distance as Zoe Martinez walked away. She didn't look back. Ethan didn't expect her to. She had made up her mind. The words still rang in his head, cold and sharp. "We're done, Ethan. I'm going back to Earth. I can't do this anymore." Her jacket used to hang there. Her laugh used to echo off the metal walls. Now it was just cold air and silence. He didn't cry. No one said much. They all heard. Alara 9 wasn't big. News traveled fast. He focused on his work, tightening bolts, fixing cables, checking systems. He didn't want to think. But something inside felt broken, like a wire snapped in his chest. He had watched her board the shuttle with her bags. No goodbye hug, no soft farewell, just silence and steel. Ethan stayed at the edge of the platform long after the ship lifted off. "I just wanted to see how you're doing." He didn't move until the bright blue thrusters faded into the stars. He walked back to his small quarters like a ghost. Zoe had been his light for over a year. They met when she was sent to Alara 9 as a security officer. He tried to keep up, but the pressure of projects, meetings, and long nights drained him. She felt distant. He tried to fix it, but maybe it was already too late. He worked with the engineering team, fixing systems that kept the colony alive. He was quiet, she was bold. Somehow, it worked. He turned. It was Dr. Helena Martinez, Zoe's mother. "I always liked you, Ethan. You treated her well." Until it didn't. Work became harder. She wanted more. Didn't seem to matter in the end. That night, he sat on his bunk, looking at the empty chair across from him. For the first time, he noticed how kind her face was. Not just wise, but warm. The next morning, he showed up to the maintenance room. His co-workers gave him small nods. She worked with the alien diplomats and rarely came down to the mechanical zones. She had always been kind but formal. Later that day, while he was repairing a faulty solar panel, someone called his name. "Come by my lab sometime. I have something I'd like to show you. It's old alien writing. You might find it interesting. Can I speak with you, Ethan?" She asked. He stood still, surprised. Helena was a respected xenolinguist. He stared at the ceiling, thinking about stars, about Zoe, and about Helena's voice. "Yes, ma'am," he said. For a moment, the cold in his chest felt a little less heavy. He didn't know what would happen next. But maybe, just maybe, things were not fully broken. She looked at him with soft eyes. "I heard what happened. I'm okay," he lied. His voice was flat. She nodded. "Walk with me?" He followed her through the outer corridor, past labs and greenhouses. They didn't talk much at first. Just the sound of boots on the metal floor. Finally, she stopped at a small bench near the observation dome. They sat. Stars sparkled beyond the glass. "Zoe told me she left," Helena said. "She did. She didn't say much else." "I don't think there's much to say," he said. She was done. Helena looked ahead. He smiled a little. They sat in silence for a while. The stars outside shimmered. Ships moved in the distance. Helena turned to him. "You're a good man. Don't forget that." Ethan didn't know what to say. Those words hit harder than he expected. He looked at her. "Thanks," he said. She stood. "I'd like that." She smiled and walked away. Ethan watched her go. That night, he didn't sleep. He didn't understand it yet. But something had shifted. The next morning, he was already at work when a message flashed on his console. It was from Helena. "Still want to see that writing?" He stared at it for a long time before replying, "Yes." Ethan walked slowly through the quiet halls of the research wing. He had never been in this part of the colony before. It slid open with a soft sound. She was inside, sitting at a long desk covered in alien tablets and notes. She looked up and smiled when she saw him. The walls were white and smooth. Lights glowed softly from above. There were few people around. Most of the work here was done by scientists and translators. He felt out of place in his gray engineering uniform. "Don't worry, you won't break anything." One large table in the middle held a cracked stone with strange markings. He reached the door with Dr. Helena Martinez's name on it. "You came," she said. "You invited me," Ethan replied. "It's one of the oldest pieces we found here. It doesn't match the local dialects. Some believe it comes from a vanished species. Not from pain this time, but from something else. A strange warmth." She stood and walked over to him. "Come in." The symbols were curved and sharp at the same time. "If you ever want to talk, even about nothing, I'm here." He didn't understand any of it, but it still made him feel something deep inside. Ethan worked in the mornings, fixing power lines and cooling pipes. In the evenings, he met Helena in her lab. Rain was falling outside, and the dome walls made soft tapping sounds. They read old alien stories, looked at maps, and drank dark tea from small clay cups, like a voice from long ago was trying to speak. She told him about Zoe's childhood, the parts Zoe never talked about. They didn't speak much about the breakup. It was like a shadow that stayed in the corner of the room, silent and still. He stepped inside and looked around. The room smelled faintly like old paper, even though nothing here was made of it. Screens showed alien symbols. "That's the writing you mentioned?" he asked. Helena nodded. "Thanks. You didn't have to." She wore a long gray coat and held a bag. He leaned in to look. "What does it say?" he asked. "But I didn't know it until he was gone." Ethan asked questions, not just to understand, but to hear her talk. Her voice made the room feel softer. "We don't know yet," Helena said. He used his small kit to clean the wound. It was quiet except for their breathing and the hum of machines. But some parts seemed to be about loss. "You remind me of someone I knew long ago. He was strong but never loud. He cared more than he showed. He always stayed, even when others left, about change. It wasn't loud." They sat side by side, close enough to feel each other's warmth. It wasn't sudden, but it was real. Maybe even love. She was inside, sitting on the floor. A small cut on her forehead bled slowly. Ethan and a few others were sent to restore the grid. He moved fast between halls, checking lines and power nodes. Ethan looked at her. She wasn't watching the stone. She was watching him. He felt his chest tighten. They spent hours going over symbols. Helena explained how she worked with alien scholars and used sound patterns to guess meaning. When his shift time came, he stood up. "I should get back." Helena walked him to the door. "Thank you for coming." "It means more than you know." He nodded. "Thanks for inviting me. I liked it." As he turned to go, she reached out and touched his arm. He gave her a small smile and left. The next few days followed a quiet rhythm. They laughed more now. Ethan told her about growing up in Arizona. One evening, the lights flickered across the base. Ethan was called to fix a failed circuit near the outer ring. As he worked, he saw Helena walking toward him. "What are you doing out here?" he asked. "I brought you this," she said, handing him a warm container of food. "You skipped dinner." He took it with a surprised smile. "I know," she said. "I wanted to." They sat near a wall, sharing food and listening to the rain. Helena looked at him. Her eyes were tired but kind. Ethan looked back at her. "Did you love him?" "Yes," she said. The silence that followed was deep, not heavy. It was like the two of them understood something without needing to say it. The next day, a storm hit Alara 9. The main dome held, but power went out in part of the base. He was near the research wing when he heard someone call for help. It was Helena's voice. He ran to her lab. A metal beam had fallen across the door. He pulled it free and opened the door. He rushed to her side. "Are you hurt?" "I'm fine. Just got knocked down." He helped her up and guided her to a bench. As he pressed the cloth to her skin, their eyes met. "You didn't need to come," she said. "Yes, I did," he said. She didn't look away. "You always do." Something changed in that moment. They stayed in the lab through the storm. No one else came. The power was still down. The lights dimmed. Ethan looked at her. Her hand was resting near his. She didn't move when his fingers touched hers. The storm outside raged. But inside, something gentle had started to grow. Neither of them said anything. They didn't need to. In the silence, she leaned her head on his shoulder. He closed his eyes. And for the first time since Zoe left, Ethan didn't feel alone. Ethan sat at the small table in Helena's lab. The storm had passed. Power was back, and everything on Alara 9 was returning to normal. But inside Ethan, things were different now. He looked up as Helena walked in with 2 cups of tea. She set one in front of him and sat down across from him. They didn't say much. They didn't have to. The way she looked at him said enough. Her eyes were steady, kind, and warm. "I keep thinking about that night," she said. "Me too," he replied. She reached out and took his hand. It felt easy, like it belonged there. "I didn't plan this," Helena said. "But in that room, time felt slower. I didn't expect it. But I feel something, Ethan. Something real." He nodded. "So do I." Zoe stood there in full uniform, holding a small bag. She looked tired. Her hair was tied back. Her eyes were sharp. They sat in silence. Outside, workers moved cargo. Drones flew overhead. The colony kept moving. Later that day, Ethan walked alone through the main corridor. He saw people looking at him. Some nodded. "You and my mother." Some didn't. He knew what they were thinking. Whispers had already started. "I thought you would fade away." But you didn't. And now ... this. He heard a voice behind him. "Ethan, you always did find strange ways to surprise me." He turned. This goodbye was quiet, and maybe that was okay. "You're back," he said. "Only for 2 days. Reassignment papers. Final checks." He didn't know what to say. Zoe looked at him for a long time. Then she spoke. "Is it true?" Ethan didn't lie. "Yes, it's true." Zoe looked down. Her face was unreadable. I never imagined this." "I didn't either. It just happened," some whispered. Some watched with wide eyes. She stepped closer. "When I left, I was angry." "I didn't plan it," he said. "I believe you," she said, her voice low. She looked away for a moment, then back at him. "Do you love her?" "I want to inform the board of a personal connection I now share with Ethan Carter. We are no longer simply colleagues. We are together." He thought about that. Then he nodded. "Yes, I do." Zoe gave a short breath, like a laugh but not happy. "In my culture, love found after loss is a sacred bond. It means life still moves forward. I do not see fault in this." He stayed quiet. She picked up her bag, made records. "Then let them go. Tell her I'm not angry, just confused and tired." "I will," he said. She walked past him without looking back. He didn't stop her. Later that evening, he sat with Helena again. He told her everything. "She asked if I loved you," Ethan said. Helena looked at him. "And you said?" "I said yes." She touched his cheek. "I'm glad you did." He leaned into her touch. "So what now?" She smiled. "We stopped hiding." The next day, they walked into the command hall together. Officers looked up. Helena stood straight. Ethan stayed by her side. They went to the council chamber. Helena requested a meeting. Inside, she spoke clearly. There was silence. Then quiet murmurs. One officer frowned. "This is highly irregular." Another leaned forward. "There are no rules broken, but it may raise concern." A third voice spoke from the side. It was an alien diplomat named Sirat, who had worked with Helena for years. Helena bowed her head. "Thank you." The council didn't argue further. They took notes. Outside, Ethan let out a long breath. Helena took his hand. "That was brave," he said. "That was necessary," she replied. They walked through the corridor together, no longer hiding, no longer afraid. And though the road ahead was still uncertain for the first time, they walked it side by side. 2 days passed slowly. The base was quiet, but Ethan could feel the tension in every hallway. People no longer smiled when he walked by. Some looked away. Others just stared. He tried to ignore it. He tried to stay calm, but it was not easy. Calm on the outside, but he could see the weight in her eyes. 3 officers sat behind a long desk. A few witnesses sat in the back. She didn't talk much. She worked, she waited, and she held his hand when no one was watching. Helena was the same. The tribunal was held in the main conference hall. It was a small room, but it felt cold and large when Ethan and Helena walked in. How it grew. How nothing happened while Ethan and Zoe were still together. She didn't hide anything. Helena stood straight. Her voice was strong when she spoke. She explained everything, how their friendship began. He said he never meant to hurt anyone, that he didn't chase this, that it just happened, that it felt right. A relationship between a younger man and the mother of his former partner. Ethan spoke too. He told the truth. The council listened. They asked hard questions. "Do you understand how this looks?" one officer asked. "Yes," Ethan said. "I do. And you still believe this is right?" "Yes," he said, "because it is." After the hearing, they were told to wait. A decision would be made in 24 hours. That night, Ethan and Helena sat on the roof of the observatory. The stars above were bright and silent, but one person stood near the doorway, waiting. "I don't want to lose you," Ethan said. "You won't," Helena said, "even if they send one of us away. Then we'll find a way back. Love is not bound by age or expectation." "That speaks well of your kind. We believe some hearts are linked before they even meet." He leaned against her shoulder. Her arm wrapped around him. The next day, the council called them back. The room felt even colder now. A gift to mark your bond, a soft glow filled the room. It felt warm like a deep breath in winter. We call it a memory stone. It holds feelings. If you touch it together, it remembers. The lead officer stood. "After reviewing all information, we find no violation of base laws or regulations. There is no evidence of coercion, misconduct, or conflict of interest. You are free to continue your relationship. However, we advise discretion going forward." Ethan exhaled. Helena's hand squeezed his. As they walked out of the hall, people turned to watch. Some looked angry. Some looked surprised. It was an alien diplomat named Thalos. He was tall, with skin like glass and eyes that shimmered. "May I speak with you?" Thalos asked. They followed him into a side chamber. Thalos bowed. "Among my people, we value truth over tradition." Helena nodded. "Thank you for saying that." They were assigned to a frontier research outpost on a small moon called Ares 7. He was alone. And you were there. It was remote, peaceful, and still being built. Thalos looked at Ethan. "You defended her with honor." But they also didn't want to fight every stare, every whisper. "We just did what felt right," Ethan said. Thalos handed them a small crystal. "This is a token for my people." Helena and Ethan touched the stone. "May your path be clear," Thalos said. They left the chamber in silence. Back in their quarters, they sat on the floor. Helena held the stone. "That was unexpected," she said. "Yes," Ethan said, "but kind. But maybe that doesn't matter. I hope you're happy. Both of you." She smiled. "Maybe not everyone hates us. Maybe." That night, they made a choice. They didn't want to hide. They asked for reassignment. Somewhere new. Somewhere quiet. 2 humans, 1 alien friend, and the wind as their music. A week later, their request was approved. Before they left, Zoe came to see them. She stood at the shuttle bay, arms crossed. "You're really going?" "Yes," Ethan said. She looked at Helena. "You didn't steal him. I get that now. I was gone." Helena didn't speak. Zoe stepped forward. "I still don't like it." Ethan nodded. "Thank you." Zoe turned and walked away. They boarded the shuttle. As it lifted from Alara 9, Helena looked out the window. "Do you think we'll be okay out there?" Ethan took her hand. "I think we're already okay." Ares 7 was quiet. The base was small, the sky always gray. But the air was fresh. The nights were calm. Ethan worked on power systems. Helena worked on alien ruins found in nearby caves. Every evening, they sat together, sometimes speaking, sometimes just listening to the wind. One evening, Ethan took out the memory stone. He handed it to Helena. "Let's touch it again," he said. They held it together. This time, the light was brighter. He looked at her. "Let's make this real. Let's not wait." "You mean—" "Yes," Ethan said. "Let's get married." She smiled. Not a small smile. A full one. "Yes," she said. They were married the next week. The ceremony was simple. No long speeches, no big crowd. Just love. Just truth. They held each other under the gray sky of RE7, and in that moment, the whole universe felt quiet and still. The days on RE7 passed slowly, but they were peaceful. The outpost was quiet. Only a few workers moved through the small halls. The wind was strong, but he didn't mind. It gave him time to think. Most of them kept to their own jobs. No one asked questions about Ethan and Helena. No one whispered. There were no stares. Each morning, Ethan checked power lines and systems. Sometimes he worked outside under the gray sky, wearing his suit and helmet. Helena spent her time in the stone caves not far from the base. They stood near the edge of the cliff, watching the clouds. She worked with a small team, digging, recording, and studying old alien symbols. The trees, the sounds, but not the noise. Not the rush. Her hands were often dusty, but her eyes always looked alive. They met for meals. Sometimes they ate in the mess hall. Sometimes they packed food and sat near the cliffs. From there, they could see far across the valley. The land was dry and silent, but there was something beautiful in its stillness. I miss warm rain and the sound of leaves. Helena was at her desk, writing notes from the day. One evening, they returned from a long walk. The sky was darker than usual. A storm was coming. Maybe not. But if we do, it will be together. That's enough. "Do you miss Earth?" Helena asked. "Sometimes," Ethan said. "The smells." She nodded. "Would you go back?" But inside, the two of them stayed close. One of the crew brought a message for Ethan. It was from someone on Laura 9. Warm. Still. "Not without you. But I see now that what you have is real. I hope you find peace. I hope you stay kind. And I hope she never lets you go." He looked at her. Her face was calm. Her hair moved with the wind. "Do you think we'll ever leave here?" He asked. "Maybe." They held hands and stayed there until the wind grew cold. Later that night, as the storm rumbled in the distance, Ethan sat near the window, reading an old book. He didn't understand them, but he felt them. She looked up. "You're quiet. I don't know what the future will bring." Both objects sat on the shelf, quiet and glowing, "but I know I want to face it with you." "Just thinking," he said. "About what?" He closed the book. How fast things change. How fast we change. Helena stood and walked to him. She sat beside him. "It didn't feel fast," she said. "It felt slow, like water shaping stone." He smiled. "That's a good way to say it." She leaned her head on his shoulder. The storm hit hard that night. The wind shook the walls. Rain slammed against the roof. A few weeks later, a small ship arrived with supplies. He read it alone, then showed it to Helena. It was from Zoe. "I still don't understand what happened," the message said. Helena folded the message. "She's stronger than I thought," she said. "She always was," Ethan said. Time went on. The sun never changed. The winds never rested. But Ethan and Helena found rhythm in the quiet. They grew older. They learned more. They made a home. One morning, Helena walked into the lab holding something new. A crystal tablet with fresh writing. She showed it to Ethan. "It talks about unions," she said. "About two lives becoming one. About how love can bridge even stars." He looked at the symbols. "Sounds like us," he said. She smiled. They placed the tablet next to the memory stone. Years later, when others came to study the base, They would ask about those two strange humans who lived in the Stormlands, far from Earth, quiet but never alone. And the story they were told was simple. A man was left behind. A woman reached for him. And together, they made a life the stars could not forget.